Greetings. I am Brother Sylvester Muhammad, and this is my wife,
Sister Sandra Muhammad.
and we are amongst the many followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his representation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Today we're going to move swiftly as we get to the timeline of Prophet Muhammad. So we're going to start with the 78 trillion all the way down to the 16,000 year timeline and over to Mr. Yakub himself and the grafting of the Caucasian race. So my wife is going to show that in the Bible it talks about the graftation of the Caucasian race. So baby, I want you to read that now. It talks about it in the Genesis. The word Genesis means the beginning. In fact, the word Genesis comes from the beginning of the so-called of the Bible.
That's right.
Okay, the King James Version, the beginning.
Okay.
Please read.
All right, so this is the Genesis. Okay, this is verse 26. It says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image.
His own image.
In the image of God created he him, male and female. Created he them."
He made them in his image. He made us in his image. He made, better yet, the original people of the planet made this Caucasian man in our image. Our image is not necessarily the real thing. You look in the mirror, that's a beautiful image of you, but that's not you, okay? Our likeness, okay? Us. Now, who is this us? It was somebody that with God. Who is the us? The us, we're going to now read from the life-giving teaching of Elijah Muhammad on the 6,000 year timeline of the Caucasian, right here.
That's right. You ready?
Please read.
Okay. 6,000 years ago, Yakub, an original black man.
Dr. Yakub.
Right, Dr. Yakub, an original black man and scientist, grafted from the black man, the white man. His idea was to make a people to rule over the original people for 6,000 years.
6,000 years.
Using a system of lies and tricks. It took 600 years utilizing a birth control process to produce the white race. 600 years.
600 years. Yes, ma'am. Go on.
It says this took place on the island of Patmos or Pelan.
The island of Patmos or Pelan is in the Aegean Sea, right here on the map. Again, notice it's blank over here. There's no America. At least they didn't know nothing about Americas, but we did.
That's
So
right.
says the OMAC. Okay? Anyway,
Okay.
now.
In the Aegean Sea. After that time, the white man came into the Holy Land. They began making mischief, telling lies, causing the original people to argue and fight one another. We rounded up all the troublemakers we could find. We marched them 2,200 miles across the Arabian desert. We exiled them in hills and caves of Europe.
Okay, now you would have to please go back to our timeline of the original man and deal with Yakub's history and the exile in the caves of Europe. Now, but the Caucasian was grafted from the brown germ of the original man. The black germ is original, but the brown germ has the potential to produce another man. And so Yakub discovered that brown germ, and he grafted the brown 200 years, yellow 200 more years, then the white 600 years. Yakub did his job. Because we stepped back, the original people stepped back and let him do what was in his nature, what he was born to do. He was not a devil. He was definitely an original man, born with a determined idea. Okay, now we're getting past Yakub. Now we get to the 4,000 year timeline. 4,000 years. Okay, 4,000 years ago, Musa came to the hill after they had made trouble amongst the righteous people. We exiled them, as my wife read, into the hills and cave sides of Europe. Then we had to go and get them ready for their mission or their destiny to rule. So we sent them Musa 4,000 years ago. Now, 4,000 years ago, 2,000 of those years, he was in the hills and cave sides of Europe. Please understand that. He was in the hills and cave sides of Europe. We deal with that on the timeline of the original man. The other 2,000 of the 4,000 years is when Musa came after 2,000 years and got them ready for their rulership, and they ruled. They came down into the Holy Land and started making trouble among the righteous people, telling lies, stealing, and we let them do what they were born to do, or made to do. And but they messed up again. When the Jews, who were the most wisest of the Caucasian, that's why we sent them Moses. That's why the Jews believe in the Hebrew religion, or they believe Moses is the emancipator. So when Moses came to them, then after Moses it came to them, then they went against the Torah and came up the imposter Jews with what is now known as the Talmud. Oh, thank you, Talmud. And then we sent them another prophet, Jesus. Here's Jesus, 2,000 years ago. All right? And we talked about the wicked husbandman last week, and we talked about what they did to the son of the owner of the vineyard. Okay? Now, here it is. We're down to the 1,400-year timeline of Prophet Muhammad. Okay, Ibn Abdullah. And he is really the last prophet to humanity, more directed at the Caucasian race. Now, my wife is going to read from that. Okay? We're going to give a little thumbnail sketch of this man, of this prophet Muhammad. May the peace and blessings of Allah forever be upon him. A little thumbnail sketch. She got one of them old-time history books. Yeah. Ooh, anything you want to find is in a book, or better yet now today, on the net. If you can get past all that garbage on there,
that's right.
you can learn some things.
That's right. Okay. It states,
please listen.
Muhammad. In about AD 570, a boy was born in the Arabian city of Mecca who would grow up to preach a much different religion to the Arabs. Much different religion.
Yes.
He was Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Orphaned very young, Muhammad was raised by an uncle. Though he received no formal education, he thought seriously about religious matters.
Yes.
As a young man, he began to believe that there was only one God. In AD 610, just before his 40th birthday, Muhammad had a religious vision that changed his life. According to Muslim tradition, Muhammad was meditating on a mountaintop when an angel Gabriel spoke to him. Gabriel told Muhammad that he had been chosen to preach to the Arabs that there was only one God.
Only one God. Now, he was going to teach to them what Moses taught. He was going to teach to them what Jesus taught. And that is the belief in the oneness of God. Please read on.
The Arabic word meaning God is Allah. According to Muslim tradition, Muhammad received regular revelations from God for the rest of his life. Muhammad began preaching what God told him to in a small number of followers. God told him. What's wrong?
My fault. Go on, read.
Okay, thank you. According to Muslim tradition, Muhammad received regular revelations from God for the rest of his life. Muhammad began preaching what God told him to in a small number of followers who wrote down the revelation or memorized them. When he preached, Muhammad claimed no divine power of his own. Like Moses, he considered himself a teacher and a messenger of God or prophet. Having learned about Jewish and Christian teachings, Muhammad believed his mission was to bring to the Arab the same belief in one God shared by Jews and Christians. Muhammad summed up the central belief of Islam in the words, "There is no God but Allah."
but
and
Allah.
Muhammad is his prophet.
Yes, yes, yes.
Muslims believe that Muhammad was the last and greatest in a series of prophets.
And a series of prophets. See, we're not denoting denoting anyone. No, he taught the same thing as the major, Moses, Jesus, and now Muhammad. Read on, baby.
That includes Abraham, Moses,
Abraham.
and Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Although Muslims accept Jesus as a great prophet, they do not believe he is divine as Christians do.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of Islam. At the time that Muhammad began preaching the message of Islam, Mecca was a religious center to which many Arabs made a yearly pilgrimage.
Mecca was a religious center to which many Arabs made
A yearly pilgrimage.
a yearly pilgrimage. Now here's Mecca, right here. So in Saudi Arabia, this is Mecca, all right? Notice it says it was a religious center. Well, what happened to it? Come on, baby, read on.
The pilgrims made the merchants of Mecca wealthy.
Ah,
The merchants feared that Muhammad's attacks against the polytheistic Arab religion would end the stream of pilgrims and the merchants' source of wealth.
they feared Muhammad because Muhammad knew the history of the Kaaba. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes. But they feared him because he wanted to get back to the religion of one God, the belief in one God. Read on, baby.
To prevent the poorer townfolk's support of Muhammad from growing, the merchants forced Muhammad to flee.
Ah,
With his uncle and a follower, Muhammad was welcomed in nearby Medina. Muhammad's flight from Mecca to Medina is called the Hijra.
the Hajra.
The Hijra occurred in 622, which was made the first year in the Muslim calendar.
Which is made the first year in the Muslim calendar. There's so much in that, but I'm just going to say this. He left there because they didn't want to submit. So they were out to kill him. In fact, I'm not going to go into the story because we don't have time, but the 29th surah of the Holy Quran was revealed to him on his flight from Mecca to Medina, entitled, Do Man Think They Will Be Left Alone, on saying they believe and not be tried when others have been tried before them. I'm going to say it.
Say that again.
He was in a cave with Abu Bakr, and Abu Bakr was trying to help him escape the death plot. He was in the cave, and some of the Quraysh came up on the cave, and Abu Bakr heard him outside, and Prophet Muhammad heard him too. Abu Bakr was ready to draw his sword and go to war. Huh? That's what Muhammad means, war. He's ready to take it to him. But the Prophet reached over and grabbed him on the shoulder, just shook his head. And then all of a sudden he heard them leaving. He could not figure out why were they leaving. And then when he got up and moved slowly to the front of the cave, there was a spider's web spit in front of the cave. See? And that's where he got the chapter of the 29th surah entitled The Spider. See, his faith was strong. And Abu Bakr didn't have that kind of faith. He was ready to go to war. But Allah had warned the prophet already that he had taken care of that. So they saw the spider's web. They know the spider's web meaning it couldn't have been anyone in there because the web hadn't been broken. But what they didn't understand is that a spider spins his web just before night or at the darkest part of the night. All praise is due to Allah.
Right.
Come on, baby, read on. I'm getting excited.
No, Muhammad's message was well received in Medina, and Muhammad soon became the town's leader. He set about to shape the community according to what he believed was God's will.
Yes.
He taught that religious and political authorities are one and the same. Let me read that again. He taught that religious and political authority are one and the same. Unlike Christianity, in which religious authority is usually separate from politics.
And see, they say that church and state, but if you look at these big churches they had and left in the black community before they left, the school and the church were together. Why now that we're moving in these places, that you now say there's a separation between church and state.
Right.
So now our children are being taught all kind of madness, and there's no moral teachings in there, and not even the mention of God's name anymore.
Right.
Read on, baby. That's got to change if we have to establish a school on our own or take over the one
Yeah, that's right.
that are already there.
That's right, because they don't want us to know who we are, so they don't want religion to be tied into it. That's why we can't even say prayer in
We
school.
can't even say prayer in the school. But I tell you, the name Muhammad means war. Go on, baby.
It says, soon, war between Medina and Mecca broke out. After a series of desert battles, Mecca surrendered to Muhammad's forces. Muhammad agreed to keep Mecca as a holy place for Arabs.
For Arabs.
However, he also decreed that his followers turn toward Mecca at times of prayer.
Okay, he kept Mecca as a holy place by when he went back in. He let them know, look, I'm coming. And he was going to go in and kill everybody in there that did not take the Shahada. But then he had a heart and he took mercy upon them, and he went in and he pardoned all of them. But he went into the Kaaba, which we're going to get into in the Holy Quran in a few minutes, and he cleared all the idols out of the Kaaba.
That's right.
Read on.
It says, once Islam became a respected religion and Muhammad enjoyed military and political success, he won converts in great numbers. The community of believers bound together by faith grew. By the time Muhammad died in 632, Islam had spread through most of the Arabian Peninsula. Muhammad had intended to bring a new and powerful religion to the Arabs. He also had established a political community that would come to dominate a large part of the world. The idea of a single Muslim community spread with Islam.
United the tribes.
That's right.
Come on, baby.
Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians could practice their own religion, though. Muslims call followers of these other religions people of the book.
People of the book.
Because they also believed in a single God.
They believed in a single God.
And had holy writings. However, Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians had to pay a special tax as a sign of submission to the Muslim political community.
As a sign of submission to the Muslim political community. Now, let's go back a few paragraphs where he talked about Mecca becoming a place of prayer. Before Mecca became a place of prayer, the Muslims used to pray to Jerusalem, which is also a holy place for Muslim, Christians, and Hebrews. But we used to pray to Jerusalem. But on the night journey, this is very key. Please follow me with this one, because I'm going to take it from the past to the present to the future, being perfect tense. On his night journey, he was taken on a chariot. He had a vision that he was taken up on a chariot and he went to Jerusalem. Now, Prophet Muhammad had never been to Jerusalem. So when he returned back off his night journey or his vision and was placed back into his body, then he told his fellow believers or companions where he had been. And they knew Muhammad had never been to Jerusalem. Some of them had been to Jerusalem, and when he described what he saw, they surrendered. He's been there.
That's right. He
saw. They couldn't figure it out. Now, that happened in the 17th chapter of the Holy Quran, the night journey of Prophet Muhammad. And the history of Jesus of 2,000 years ago. Jesus also had a vision where he was taken up into the holy sanctities of God himself. And there he met the same people that Muhammad met, Moses, Elijah. See? And he had a vision. And that's also found in the 17th chapter of Matthew. Praise belongs to Allah.
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
Oh, you look over our beloved brother and friend, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the criterion for all of humanity today.
That's right.
He too had a night journey, a vision like Jesus and Muhammad, where he was taken up on the wheel.
That's right.
And he was taught by the only Elijah Muhammad. He heard his voice. He was given a set of instruction that he obeyed.
That's right.
And he was told by the only Elijah Muhammad to tell them that you got it from me, Elijah Muhammad, on the wheel.
That's right.
And he did. And when certain ones heard what he had told, Elijah had told Farrakhan, that was in the audience when he was doing that press conference in 1989, they bore witness, the Caucasians bore witness that he knows.
That's right, he knows.
There was a war being planned against Islam and black youth in particular and the nation of Islam. Oh, okay. Let me get past that. Now, we go from here, baby, into the book of Genesis. We're going back to the book of Genesis, and here we're going to show you where the book of Genesis and the Quran really are from the same author. There's no different author when it comes to the revelation of truth. And in the Genesis, God tells Abraham, please read it, baby.
Okay, it says, and he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
All right.
Okay.
Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan teaches us that the Quran.
You want me to finish? Go to 14, or was that just enough?
Read it.
Okay, and also that nation whom
Thank you.
they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance.
Okay, now, that's talking about black people in America. We are the real children of Israel. Nobody fits that biblical description but us. Take it or let it alone. Now, the Quran verifies the truths that are in the Bible, even though they are in King James Version. And so now we're going to read from the Holy Quran. The Cow, which is chapter 2 of the Holy Quran. Excuse my Quran, I've been had this Quran since 1975. It's a little well studied.
Okay. Okay, we're going to do this one, right?
Yeah, we're starting, that's what is that called?
Section 15, the covenant with Abraham.
The covenant with Abraham. Now notice last week we talked about the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Well, the Ark of the Covenant is the covenant that man or humanity made with Abraham, or God made with Abraham. But it contains the knowledge of God himself.
Right.
Come on, baby, read.
It says, O children of Israel, call to mind my favor, which I bestow on you, that I made you excel the nations.
Yes.
And be on your guard against a day when no soul will avail another in the least.
In the least.
Neither will any compensation be accepted from it, nor will intercessions profit it, nor will they be helped. And when his Lord tried Abraham with certain commands, he fulfilled them. He said, surely I will make thee a leader of men. Abraham said, and of my offspring, my covenant does not include the wrongdoers. He said, and I'm going to read that again.
Please.
And of my offspring, my covenant does not include the wrongdoers. Meaning, if our children, if our families are not with God, then they are not with us. So his covenant will not be with his offspring if they are a part of the wrongdoers.
Come on.
And when we made the house a resort for men and a place of security, and take ye the place of Abraham for a place of prayer, and we enjoined Abraham and Ishmael, saying, purify my house for those who visit it, and those who abide in it, for devotion, and those who bow down, and those who prostrate themselves.
Okay, that house that was purified for worship is the Kaaba. That's why Prophet Muhammad was so bent on getting rid of idolatry. He was bent on cleaning that Kaaba out because it was part of the foundation of the sacredness that Abraham had obeyed God when it came to sacrificing his son before he stilled his hand. And then he blessed his genetic makeup and his unborn generations, which we are of that tribe, the tribe of Shabazz. Okay, the real children of Israel. Read on, baby.
That's right. It says, and when Abraham said, my Lord, make this a secure town and provide its people with fruits, such of them as believe in Allah and the last day.
We're talking about the holy city of Mecca. Come on, baby.
He said, and whoever disbelieves, I shall grant him enjoyment for a short while. Yes. Then I shall drive him to the chastisement of the fire. And it is an evil destination.
It is an evil destination. I talked about, are you finished?
Yeah, for a second.
Okay.